I've mentioned it in other Star Wars playtime videos, but the early 2000s saw a resurgence in Star Wars gaming. 1999 saw The Phantom Menace come out in June, and of course it was accompanied by a whole heap of other media as well. As is the case with movie tie-in games, The Phantom Menace loosely follows the events of the Phantom Menace movie, albeit with a few little notable exceptions here and there. But it's closer to source material than some other games I've played. I'm looking at you, Super Star Wars. The game also holds a special place in my memories. In late 1999, I was in a very serious accident and spent almost 3 months in hospital. By the time I got out, it was January, when major school holidays are in Australia, and Mum and Dad bought me this game, and Dad rigged up a trolley for the computer so that he could wheel it in for me and play it, and it made a horrible time in my life, slightly less so. That said, what I remember of the game is that it's pretty average. I remember the platforming being quite frustrating in places, but I've grown since then, and I'm not looking at the game through the eyes of a traumatised teenager. I've done a lot of these videos now, and even reviewed a few games, so I feel that I can judge games more fairly for what they are. I still have my original PC copy of The Phantom Menace, and with a little help from PC Gaming Wiki, was able to get it running on my computer. I'm really curious to see how it turns out for this episode of Star Wars Playtime. Let's get into the game. This is the part where I normally talk about the story of the game, but this is a movie tie-in. It's pretty much exactly the same as the movie, with the exception of sequences from the movie adapted to be more interesting from a game point of view. It's an interesting mashup of game styles. Primarily it feels like a platformer, but also has third-person shooter vibes, as well as small role-playing elements. There's even side quests that open up areas for more ammunition and health. These generally involve helping people, which makes sense since you play the majority of the game as a Jedi. Straight off the bat, I had an issue with the camera. It's more top-down than I'd like and doesn't offer you the best view of the levels. Quite often an enemy would just come into view and start firing straight away, giving you no chance to dodge or kill them first. I also found myself trying to look up to get a better view, which hurt my neck after a while. I also found it odd that for the majority of the game you play as Obi-Wan Kenobi or Qui-Gon Jinn, but always have access to an assortment of weapons other than lightsabers, blasters, rocket launchers, even grenades. Why would you want to use them when you have a lightsaber? You get to play as Captain Panaka and Queen Amidala later in the game, but it's not until the last 3 levels of the game. It's like the devs really wanted to follow the Jedi and make them the focus of the game, but when it came to the climactic battle at the end, they decided that 2 Jedi dueling a Sith wasn't enough. They didn't go for the big battle with the Gungans though, they went with Panaka and Amidala fighting through Theed Palace. No space battle either, although it's understandable as you wouldn't want to have to build new controls just for one flight level. I had a lot of trouble playing as Amidala. While the Jedi and Panaka had melee weapons such as lightsabers and fists, Amidala had some sort of weird cattle prod weapon for when the other weapons had no ammo. It stunned droids and seemed to randomly kill them, but otherwise it was pretty useless. It's just lucky that you had an NPC you're escorting through the streets of Theed to kill things for you. I was letting him tank while I stunned things, or just hid until I could find some better weapons. The game does a good job of recreating the events of the Phantom Menace though. There are a couple of escort missions which are normally the bane of any gamer's existence, but these seem to have checkpoints where the person you're escorting will stop, letting you go ahead and clear the enemies before proceeding. And in the missions where you play as Amidala, they serve as a great damage dealer as well. The Phantom Menace game feels like a faithful recreation of the movie. It isn't without its issues, but it's reasonably fun. One thing I overlooked when I first played this game was just what sort of game this is. I originally thought it was a third-person shooter, but having played through it again, it's more like an adventure game. There's trading quests to progress the story, and also side quests that unlock things like extra ammo and health along the way. Teenage Jim wouldn't have had any patience for that, but adult Jim is very much looking around and trying to find everything. That said, some of those health bonuses did tend to disappear in the later levels, which made things hard. The Phantom Menace is a pretty average game though. There's nothing super wrong with it. All the things that I've sort of picked on in this video, you get used to after a while, and there are definitely points where I was glad to switch from a lightsaber to a blaster. But there's just nothing really super awesome about it either. It's a decent enough platformer slash adventure slash whatever else it is as well, but it's just not as fun as titles like Dark Forces or Republic Commando or The Force Unleashed. With all that in mind, I give the video game adaptation of Episode 1 The Phantom Menace my Star Wars playtime rating of Return to Tatooine. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've enjoyed putting it together and I really hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you have, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so you can see more of my content and give me advice on what games you want to see me play next. But thank you and we'll see you next time.